Part 14. Fantasy. After thousands of years of seclusion, I became a saint. Author, love to eat chicken legs. Chapter 131. If that's all you have, then you can be on your way. The laughter fell, and a majestic phantom appeared on Qin Hao. From the previous 3 ancestral witches, the number increased directly to 8 ancestral witches. There was a loud bang. I saw this piece of it seemed that the void space together with the endless starry sky was boiling violently at this moment. The overwhelming power of the ancestral shamanic image seemed to make this void space unbearable. Not good. At this moment, Supreme Heavenly Will and Supreme Evil Phoenix completely changed their colors. Their pupils shrank sharply, and there was a strong danger of death. At this time, they could clearly sense that there were countless chains of space attacking from all directions. Come. Qin Hao actually used the space method to completely seal off this void space, making it impossible for them to escape. Boom. Immediately, the Heavenly Will Supreme and the Evil Phoenix Supreme had no time to think about it, both of them bloomed with bright light. With unparalleled monstrous momentum, it skyrocketed crazily at this moment, straight into the sky, shaking the heaven and earth. Even if there was a void space to block it, the creatures in the yellow 5 realms felt unprecedented heart palpitations. Such a terrifying feeling, as if there was an extreme the ancient supreme being, who has attained the status of a great emperor in this world, can rule over all the heavens. Extremely sublime. How can this be? Feeling the terrifying power of the Heavenly Will Supreme and the Evil Phoenix Supreme, which surged rapidly, the Heavenly Immortal Supreme and the 3 UN Supreme exclaimed in disbelief. The 2 of them lived out their second life and were in their prime. The ancient Supreme Being was actually at the highest level at this moment? And their opponent was just an extreme quasi-emperor? Such a shocking thing, even if they saw it with their own eyes, couldn't believe it. When did such a person come into being in the human race? Are you a monster? Could it be that their past information was all false? Kill. At this time, the extremely sublimated Heavenly Will Supreme and the Evil Phoenix Supreme have already come out fiercely. Now they have truly recovered to their peak combat power. The 2 extremely sublimated peak supreme, how terrifying is that? Every move they make is accompanied by boundless avenues, as if the whole world is being stirred up at this moment. Such unparalleled Taoist power makes people feel like they have returned to the ancient times, when supreme beings emerged in large numbers and ruled over the 9 heavens. Poof. Even though Qin Hao was blessed by the 8 ancestral witchcrafts, he still couldn't bear the world-destroying attacks. With just one wave of attacks, Qin Hao's ancestral witchcrafts were shattered one after another. Qin Hao's body shook violently and his face turned pale. Emperor's blood spurted out from his mouth. It was very strong. The ancient supreme being whose combat power had returned to its peak state was indeed terrifyingly strong. Even if Qin Hao cultivated the Hongmeng Law and condensed 99 Hongmeng immortal bones, it was still difficult to fight against him after all. At this time, the Heavenly Will Supreme and the 2 are already truly in harmony. They can directly trigger the power of heaven and earth to suppress. No matter how strong the quasi-emperor is, how can he be stronger than the suppression of the entire world? Unless, Qin Hao completely cultivate the 9 turns mysterious technique and the 3rd turn of Pangu's immortal body to perfection. Otherwise, even with the phantom increase of the ancestral witchcraft, it is impossible to fight against the Supreme Being. The scene where Qin Hao vomited blood and flew upside down, it also made the creatures in the 5 realms of Xianhuan couldn't help but change their expressions. Zhang Taishu, Great Sage Luo, and Yao Bassian were even more anxious. Sure enough, the extremely sublimated Ancient Supreme, even with Qin Hao's combat power, it is also difficult to resist. Now, when his body was shaken, Qin Hao didn't care about suppressing the surging energy and blood in his body, and immediately formed the formation of the 12 heavenly gods. At the same time, The 90 Hongmeng immortal bones in Qin Hao's body were all emitting bright immortal energy at this moment. Light. This caused the condensed formation of the 12 capital gods to immediately erupt with destructive power. Boom, boom. Immediately, a shocking bombing sounded like a tsunami hitting a mountain torrent. The boundless law of chaos, where a void battlefield was raging. The shockwave of such horrific destruction would probably put the lives of even the supreme self-destruction in danger. It can be seen that at this time, the killing in that void space was so terrible and terrible. There are quite a few trump cards. But that's it. The Heavenly Will Supreme and the Evil Phoenix Supreme showed surprise when they saw that their secret attack technique was blocked. But then, a strong and bone-chilling killing intent emerged from their expressions. Reincarnation Totem. I saw the Heavenly Will Supreme, using the power of the great way of heaven and earth to form the heavenly will between the seals of his hands. A series of mysterious and strange heavenly will patterns appeared in the heavenly will, outlining the mysterious totem. Reincarnation Totem. It is the supreme forbidden technique of the Sea of Reincarnation, which is said to contain the true passage of reincarnation. Once hit by this technique, even the gods will hate it. Chirp. The evil Phoenix Supreme let out a sharp phoenix cry, soaring into the sky with overwhelming blood evil energy, and turned into raging blood flames. In the rolling blood flames, a huge immortal phoenix that covered the sky and the sun was reborn from the fire, with boundless immortal power, the supreme forbidden technique of the blood phoenix river. Rumor has it that this forbidden technique is derived from the divine phoenix treasure technique, one of the 10 evil treasures of ancient times. It has boundless killing power. In ancient times, there was an invincible supreme technique in the blood phoenix river. With this forbidden technique, he suppressed several supreme beings of the same level. Accompanied by the shocking sound of collision, crisp cracking sounds resounded. But under those two world-destroying forbidden techniques, Qin Hao's 10 there were cracks in the Urdu Tianshensha formation. It looked like it was about to completely collapse. Qin Hao also suffered a huge backlash and his face became paler. But there was no big surprise in his expression. After all, his current opponents are two extremely sublimated peaks. The difference between their realms is too big. Even if they set up the formation of the 12 gods, it will be difficult to fight against them. Of course, even if they can't, however, Qin Hao's fighting spirit has not wavered at all. He also has a trump card that he has not yet revealed. It is true that he cannot deal with these two supreme beings, but that is not necessarily the case. However, it will cost a lot, that's all. Furthermore, Qin Hao also wants to use the killings of these two peak supremes to achieve his own goals. They want a quick victory. No need to fight them desperately. Consume them. At this time, the voice of Emperor Xixiao reached Qin Hao's ears one after another. For the supreme self-destruction in his later years, once he reaches the highest level, the price is often the death of his body and soul. But the supreme heavenly will and the supreme evil phoenix, they are all resurrected in the second life, and cut off the seal when they were in their peak state. Therefore, their chi and blood are extremely majestic and vast. Even if it is a short-term ultimate sublimation, they will only pay a huge price, but they will not lose their lives. Therefore, as long as Qin Hao waits until their ultimate sublimation is exhausted, then they will naturally retreat. Unless they are really willing to give up their own lives and remain in the ultimate sublimation, and die together with Qin Hao. In the message of Emperor Xixiao at that time, Qin Hao suffered several fatal blows. His whole body was infected with the emperor's blood, and there were countless injuries. The bones could be seen deeply, and the treasures of the Tao Palace could be seen. The formation of the 12 capital gods had been shattered several times. The power was greatly reduced. But Qin Hao did not retreat at all, nor did he try to dodge or delay anything. It seems that it still doesn't work. Could it be that one really has to die completely in order to condense the mark of reincarnation? After enduring several killing techniques again, and even half of his body was almost destroyed, Qin Hao sighed in his heart. Yes, the reason why Qin Hao has been fighting to the death with those two supreme beings is because he wanted to break through on the edge of life and death. The limit of the magic of reincarnation is to condense the mark of reincarnation. But unfortunately, even with the oppression of life and death by two supreme beings, the magic of reincarnation has not transformed. At this time, the heavenly will supreme and the evil phoenix supreme came with another powerful attack. This time, they joined forces to seal the sky and the earth, preventing Qin Hao from evading. With this attack, they were Qin Hao must be completely killed. After all, if they delay it any longer, the price they have to pay will be too high. Fantasy, after thousands of years of seclusion, I became a saint. Author, love to eat chicken legs. Chapter 132. Sacrifice. At this point, Qin Hao didn't hold back anymore, and his whole body bloomed with Hongmeng immortal light. Immediately afterwards, 12 pieces of Hongmeng immortal bones came out of Qin Hao's body. This is one of Qin Hao's trump cards. He wants to sacrifice these 12 pieces of Hongmeng immortal bones directly into the 12 capital gods formation. Of course, this move also means that he will lose 12 pieces of Hongmeng immortal bones. But in this situation, there is no way boom. Following the sacrifice of Hongmeng immortal bones, the 12 heavenly gods formation immediately emitted a huge transformation. A vast and boundless prehistoric aura exploded and swept across like a stormy sea. The heavenly will supreme that came with the bombardment and the evil phoenix supreme were all blasted away, and their killing techniques were shattered. In the 12 capitals of the heavenly divine evil formation, the 12 ancestral witches and dharma images were solidified countless times. This time, even there the facial features can be seen clearly and lifelike. It seems that they are really the invincible witch clan who came from the endless prehistoric era. How come? He actually has such a trump card. The heavenly will supreme and the evil phoenix supreme, whose eyes showed ferocious murderous intent, both changed their expressions in horror. Qin Hao can fight against the two of them with his ultimate quasi-emperor realm cultivation until now, which is enough to shock the world. But now, Qin Hao's combat power can actually increase dramatically again. Is this guy really at the quasi-emperor level? He can't be the emperor who killed himself, right? Not only the heavenly will supreme and the evil phoenix supreme, but also the Zixiao emperor, the heavenly immortal supreme, and the 3 Yuan supreme were also extremely shocked. They also did not expect that Qin Hao actually had such a terrifying trump card. With such destructive power, Qin Hao is now probably not weaker than the Wuqi emperor. Got it? After the transformation of that killing formation, it was so terrifying that it was impossible to break through it in a short period of time. There is no time, so we have to retreat first. The heavenly will supreme and the evil phoenix supreme looked at each other, without hesitation, and decided to stay away. First, their ultimate sublimation has reached their own limits. If they continue to fight, I'm afraid they won't be as simple as paying the price. Secondly, Qin Hao obviously used the forbidden technique at this time to transform the killing formation. In this case, they naturally have to avoid the edge for the time being and will not confront Qin Hao now. Want to leave? Qin Hao sneered when he saw this. He sacrificed 12 pieces of Hongmeng immortal bones and paid such a high price. Do these heavenly will supreme and evil phoenix supreme actually think they can leave alive? Today, he will let the world know, even if he is the most sublime supreme being, if he dares to provoke him, he will be dead. Phew. This void space seems to have a breeze blowing through it. Immediately afterwards, the entire space is filled with deep ripples in the blink of an eye. This space becomes like a mud swamp, which can make people trapped in it. It is the space magic of Dezhong, one of the 12 ancestral witches. In addition, there is also the same ancestral witch. One of them is the power of time of Zhujian. When time and space increase, even the sublimated ancient Supreme One slow down countless times. Kill. While the heavenly Will Supreme and the evil Phoenix Supreme were changing their colors, Qin Hao had already taken control of the 12 heavenly gods and evil formations, and rushed away with great ferocity. The ultimate sublimation of the ancient Supreme Being has a time limit. Qin Hao sacrificed 12 pieces. The Hongmeng immortal bones cannot be consumed for too long. Just to deal with the two ancient Supreme Beings, Qin Hao does not want to sacrifice the Hongmeng immortal bones again. Boom! The heavenly Will Supreme and the evil spirit who wanted to escape from the void space and exit the state of ultimate sublimation Huang's Hizun had to take action immediately. In their perception, Qin Hao's blow contained destructive power. If they were not careful, they would really have to answer here today. Immediately, earth-shattering the war of destruction breaks out again. The laws of all heavens are bombarding and sweeping at this moment, causing this void space to collapse. If this continues, Heavenly Will Supreme and the two of them may not be able to escape disaster. The Heavenly Immortal Supreme and the 3 UN Supreme looked solemn. They had never thought of the situation before them. Could it be that two ancient Supreme Beings who were extremely sublime would die here today? They want to go and save them. But was entangled by Emperor Xiao and Emperor Tianyao, unable to escape at all. Boom! When Qin Hao sacrificed the Hongmeng immortal bones and caused the formation of the 12 heavenly gods to transform. Above the 9 heavens, the entire sky seemed to be shaking at this moment. There is boundless imperial law emerging. A vast and boundless power of the emperor suppresses it, and the entire Xian Huang ancient star is shaken. I saw that the purple divine light rising into the sky has merged with the heaven and earth law. The human emperor Xiao, who was among the 10,000 paths, also showed his figure. It can be clearly seen that a purple avenue flew out from the 10,000 paths and surrounded him. The Dao method of the emperor Xiao, fusion of the corresponding avenues of heaven and earth. His Emperor Dao fruit condensed at this moment. This also means that the Xiao human emperor has completely overcome the emperor's tribulation and set foot in the godless realm. The powerful men of Xiao divine court are all incomparable ecstasy. After tens of thousands of years, their purple sky divine court finally gave birth to the supreme emperor again. 3 emperors from one sect. Looking at the entire human race in the 5 domains, it is unique. Even in the past, those extremely glorious Teku eternal emperors were born. Among the clans, there are very few royal clans that have given birth to 3 ancient emperors or supreme beings. Really proven emperor. The quasi-emperor giants in the Xian Huang 5 domains were all dumbfounded and stared blankly at the sky. Is there really another great emperor in the human race? It's too late. At this moment, the expressions of the heavenly immortal supreme and the 3 UN supreme were extremely solemn. They could see that the Xiao human emperor had consolidated his Dao fruit and truly set foot in the imperial realm. It can be said that the current Xiao human emperor is in the 5 realms of Xian Huang are invincible. He is not suppressed by the laws of heaven and earth. Even if the Forbidden Zone Supreme joins forces, it will be difficult to resist him. Hateful. The expressions on the faces of the heavenly Will Supreme and the evil Phoenix Supreme, who were suppressed by Qin Hao with the 12 heavenly gods' evil formation, were extremely ugly. They did not hesitate to use their utmost sublimation to attack, but they were unable to stop Xiao human emperor Zheng. Dao. If they had known that there was a variable like Qin Hao, they should have persuaded the other Forbidden Area Supremes to join forces to attack. But Qin Hao ignored the regrets of the 2 supreme beings. He controlled the 12 capital gods. The formation continued to erupt with unparalleled killing power, which made it impossible for the 2 heavenly Will Supremes to escape and could only struggle to deal with it. Very good. At this time, Emperor Xiao breathed a sigh of relief, with a smile on his face. Now that their divine court has given birth to an emperor, even if there will be huge turmoil in the future, it will be enough to protect themselves. But suddenly, Emperor Xiao's eyes narrowed. He saw that the Emperor Xiao, who had condensed Dao fruit and had a solid Dao foundation, did not leave just yet. The world-destroying thunder catastrophe above the 9 heavens also did not dissipate. On the contrary, it became more and more intense and terrifying. The mighty thunder calamity of the great emperor that swept through the 9 heavens and 10 earths made countless creatures tremble with heart palpitations. What happened? Is the great emperor's calamity not over yet? The great emperor's Dao fruit has been condensed. The Xiao human emperor should have successfully proved himself as emperor, right? Not only the emperor Xiao, but also the ancient supreme being in the life-forbidden area, the creatures of all races in the ancient times, and the quasi-emperors of the 5 realms of Xianhuang, are all standing together at this moment, looking at the human emperor Xiao above the 9 heavens. Obviously, I have already condensed the Dao fruit and set foot in the imperial realm. Why is the imperial tribulation not over yet? Could it be that you want to reach the top and take another step forward? Suddenly, Emperor Xiao's expression changed, and he thought of a certain possibility. Boom! Almost at the same time, Emperor Xiao stepped on the road, holding a halberd, and ascended to the sky on foot. A dazzling fairy light bloomed between his eyebrows, and his soul was at this moment, the mysterious Tao and Dharma were derived, as if a fairy spirit was about to ascend. As the Xiao human emperor ascended to the sky trembled violently at this moment, and the 10,000 laws suddenly crashed down. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Fantasy, after thousands of years of seclusion, I became a saint. Author, love to eat chicken legs. Chapter 133. Break. Human Emperor Xiao shouted angrily, and with a wave of his halberd, the imperial Dao rose into the sky, smashing all the falling Dao into pieces. But on the sky, there were killing blows falling again, and one after another the destructive thunder broke through the sky and came out. Behind those thunders, there were immortal swords, evil knives, ghost talismans, divine shadows, and other killing calamities, which were constantly evolving. In the blink of an eye, the Xiao human emperor was overwhelmed by those seemingly endless killing calamities. No one could be seen at all. The creatures in Zhongzhou could only vaguely feel that there was boundless killing and calamity erupting in the 9 heavens. Even though they were separated by endless distances, they still felt palpitations and fear, as if the sky was about to collapse. At this moment, not only it's the ancient star of Xianhuang, and even the entire universe is affected by it. This is, someone wants to go against the will of heaven and combine the seal of heaven's heart. The road to immortality is about to begin. There are actually living beings on this ancient star. Want to go against the will of heaven. In the depths of the universe, one after another on ancient stars, there is a terrifying aura awakening that shakes the sky and the earth. Countless creatures are shocked at this moment. The Taoism of all heavens and realms is shaken. There are witnesses. Dao Chenggong is using his own way to conquer all the heavens and all the ways. This is obviously to go against the will of heaven, merge all the ways, and condense the mark of the heart of heaven. For many years, such an ambitious person has not appeared. Unexpectedly, now I encountered another one. Even those ancient creatures that had been sleeping for endless years opened their eyes slightly. Xianhuang territory, Zhongzhou. Fight all the ways, unite the heart of heaven. Is he going to suppress all the ways and condense the Tianxin seal? The Celestial Supreme, the 3 UN Supreme and other ancient Supreme beings all understood at this moment. This also shocked them extremely. You know, what the world calls enlightenment. Whether it is the great emperor or the Supreme. Generally it is just use your own way to merge the great avenue between heaven and earth that is consistent with yourself. Once the combination is successful, the Tao fruit will be condensed, and you can control the laws of heaven and earth and suppress the world. But now the Zixiao human emperor is not only, his own great road merges with the great road of heaven and earth. He is using his own road fruit to conquer all the heavens and all the ways. He wants to bring all the ways into his body and give birth to the Tianxin seal. Once the Tianxin seal is synthesized, then the entire heavens and all the ways will be marked with the Zixiao human emperor. The Dao seal. It can be said that the entire 10,000 Dao will be trampled under the feet of Zixiao human emperor. This is the journey to the emperor realm, reaching the top, and taking another step forward. This kind of shocking thing has not happened before in the history of Xianhuang realm. After the passing of the ancient times, with the departure of the supreme emperor, thousands of ancient races gradually came into being, hoping to break through the seal of the ancient road in the starry sky and restore the glory of the ancient times. At that time, there was an ancient emperor among the human race. With supreme perseverance, breaking the shackles of heaven and earth, the seal of heaven's heart was condensed. Once the seal of heaven's heart was completed, all creatures in the 5 realms of Xian and Huang surrendered under its feet. Whether it was the current emperor, the supreme perfection, or the ancient gods, they were all suppressed by him. Even tens of thousands of years later, no one can prove the power of the great emperor. Because those who integrate the Tianxin seal can suppress all the ways of heaven and earth. This Zixiao human emperor actually has such a terrifying ambition to condense the Tianxin seal. What if he really succeeds? Well, even if the ancient starry sky road is broken and the supreme being of all races descends, the human race's position as the hegemon of the 5 domains for at least tens of thousands of years cannot be shaken. The suppression of the Tianxin mark is not only the avenue of the ancient Xianhuang star, but the entire the Tao of the universe. Holy Sun Dei, don't you want to attain enlightenment and become an emperor? Once the Zixiao human emperor condenses the Tianxin seal, you will never be able to achieve enlightenment again. At this time, 2 anxious roars suddenly resounded. The creatures in Zhongzhou looked at the sound. I saw that at this time, the Tianlun was fiercely attacked by Qin Hao with the formation of 12 gods. The Supreme and the evil Phoenix Supreme are already seriously injured and dying. It can be seen clearly. Not only did their bodies suffer, their energy and blood were in chaos, but they also had obvious injuries of destruction on their bodies. Those injuries were not all caused by Qin Hao. They who have been maximizing their sublimation have long exceeded the limit of endurance. If they continue like this, it won't take long for them to escape death even if Qin Hao stops his hand. Under the suppression of the laws of heaven and earth, the maximal sublimation has returned to the level of the peak combat power. The price to be paid is no joke. As for the heavenly will supreme and the evil phoenix supreme, Qin Hao has no fluctuations. His whole body is surrounded by the Hongmeng immortal light, and he holds the supreme prehistoric light in his hand. According to the law, the divine array is constantly being used to kill. The void space has been completely shattered, and strange void turbulence is emerging. You are crazy? Do you really want to be stepped on by the Zixiao human emperor for the rest of your life? Seeing that Qin Hao was unmoved, Heavenly Will Supreme and the 2 couldn't help but screamed loudly. They really couldn't understand that Qin Hao was not from the Zixiao divine courtyard. Why did he want to help the Zixiao human emperor like this? Is it just because, did they ever design to frame Holy Lord Dao Yi? Could the hatred of a dead man be more important than the failure to attain enlightenment and become emperor in the future? No one can stop my way. Qin Hao said indifferently. Whether Zixiao human emperor proves to be the emperor or synthesizes Tianxin, it is impossible to block his way. Therefore, Qin Hao does not mind, Zixiao human emperor synthesizes Tianxin. Even Zixiao Ren, if the emperor can really succeed, it will be a great thing for the 5 human regions. You madman! Tianlun Supreme and Evil Phoenix Supreme couldn't help but curse, which shows how anxious they are. Die! Qin Hao's eyes were cold, and all the Hongmeng immortal bones in his body were glowing at this moment. An extremely terrifying Hongmeng immortal light poured into the 12 heavenly gods' formation. There was a loud bang. The killing power of the 10, the great formation of divine evil in Urdu, was pressed down like a world-destroying millstone. Both the supreme heavenly will and the supreme evil phoenix suffered destruction and killing at this moment. Their imperial bodies exploded, their blood was scattered, and their souls escaped. Only by chance did he escape the disaster. But at this time, a red Buddha light shone overwhelmingly, like the sun shining on the earth. The souls of the heavenly will supreme and the evil phoenix supreme immediately made a hissing sound, and there was green smoke. Exit. The 3 Buddhist avenues exploded in growth at this moment, causing the 2 supreme beings to completely lose their souls. Died. The 2 ancient supreme beings in the restricted area joined forces after being extremely elevated, but they were still suppressed and killed. Doesn't that mean that the Holy Sun Deyi is really as capable as the Supreme Emperor? Seeing the death of the Supreme Heavenly Will and the Supreme Evil Phoenix, all living beings in Zhongzhou were stunned. The 3 supreme beings in their old age set themselves on fire, but ended up exploding themselves to death. The 2 supreme beings in their prime of life were fully sublimated and restored to their peak. Feng, his body and soul were also directly destroyed. How many years have it been in the 5 realms of Xianhuang that so many supreme beings have died? Even in the past, when Emperor Xiao and other human emperors achieved enlightenment, this had never happened before the 5 supreme beings are dead. Could it be that this Daoyi Saint Son has already attained enlightenment in a different way? If not, how could his combat power be so terrifying? At this moment, even the Emperor Xiao, the Supreme Celestial Immortal, and Sanyuan the Supreme and other unparalleled giants all lost their voices. Although they had already expected that the lives of the Supreme and Supreme Heavenly Wheels would be difficult to save. But when this scene really happened, they still couldn't believe it. After all, it was the 2 gods who had the Supreme One with peak combat power. This also made them feel an unprecedented strong fear. Qin Hao, the first saint son of the Dao, definitely has the heaven-defying posture to aspire to be the Emperor of Heaven. At this moment, the 2 heavenly immortals supreme, I feel that it is not a bad thing that the Xiao human emperor condenses the Tianxin seal to suppress future generations from being able to realize the Dao. If Qin Hao proves the Dao and becomes the Emperor, I am afraid that he can really challenge the invincible Emperor of Heaven. After all, although the Tianxin seal is strong, it is not he can only control 10,000 ways and suppress the world. But the Heavenly Emperor's status is truly superior to all 10,000 ways. There are even rumors that the Heavenly Emperor has the power to fight a true immortal. Fantasy, after thousands of years of seclusion, I became a saint. Author, love to eat chicken legs. Chapter 134. Call. After completely killing the Heavenly Will Supreme and the Evil Phoenix Supreme, Qin Hao let out a long breath. The formation of the 12 heavenly gods and evils gradually dispersed, and all the Hongmeng immortal light burned out. He directly sacrificed 12 pieces of Hongmeng immortal bones. This can also be said to be a traumatic experience for Qin Hao. After this incident is over, Qin Hao is afraid that he will have to stay in seclusion for thousands of years to recover his strength. But if he wants to use the 99 pieces of Hongmeng immortal bones, I don't know how long it will take to be completely united. Poof. At this time, a clearly audible sound of tearing flesh and blood spread from the 9 heavens. Countless creatures that originally shocked Qin Hao and were able to kill the peak quasi-emperor against all odds, all looked at them. All they saw was a bloody broken arm. Pouring out the emperor's blood, falling from the 9 heavens. Xiao human emperor's arm. Was this, cut off by someone? After seeing the broken arm clearly, countless creatures were shocked. The broken arm was actually cut off directly. The Xiao human emperor, who merged with the great Dao, condensed the Dao fruit, and set foot in the imperial realm, actually had one arm cut off. What kind of crisis is hidden in the endless killing calamity? Immediately afterwards, a roar came from the sky. It was the Xiao human emperor roaring. He seemed to be fighting with mysterious creatures, and the laws of the emperor's way exploded. Time, 9 days were broken. Human Emperor Xiao has been injured, let's take action together. At this moment, a gloomy sound resounded in the void. I saw a creature wearing a black robe, covering all its appearance and breath, suddenly rushed out. Although the specific cultivation level could not be sensed, from judging from the extreme speed, they were definitely ancient supreme beings. Whoosh whoosh. Behind the mysterious black-robed man, there were 3 more ancient supreme beings flying out of the air at extremely high speeds. Judging from their appearance, it was obvious that they had arrived early and had been there since then. Lurking in the dark. But even before, when the Heavenly Will Supreme and the Evil Phoenix Supreme fell, they did not take action. It was not until this time that they saw the Xiao human emperor being injured, and they took action. The timing of the move was extremely tricky. Of course, it cannot be ruled out that they deliberately did not help. The Taku 10,000 clan and those restricted life areas have never been monolithic. Just like before, when the creatures of the Taku 10,000 clans were suppressed and killed by the Xiao human emperor. None of the ancient supreme beings in the Forbidden Life area had taken action. If it hadn't been for the Xiao human emperor's enlightenment this time, which touched their interests, those ancient supreme beings in the Forbidden Life area would not have appeared together at all. After all, before the rise of the human race, all the ancient races had been killing each other for generations, and they all had blood feuds with each other. Is there any ancient supreme being hidden? 4 ancient supreme beings. This sudden change has changed the color of countless creatures in the 5 domains. Counting the 3 old supreme beings and the Heavenly Will Supreme that Qin Hao had killed before, there are already 11 ancient supreme beings who have arrived today. So many respects. Even though I know that those forbidden areas of life have terrifying background, when it is actually revealed, it still makes the creatures of the 5 realms shocked and change their colors. And with such a monstrous lineup, I am afraid that even the real Emperor it will be difficult to suppress them. After all, these ancient supreme beings are also the unparalleled giants who have set foot in the realm of the Emperor in the past. Whoa! Qin Hao was the first to react. He spread his wings like a kunpeng and flew into the sky at extremely fast speeds. As he rose into the sky, the formation of the 12 capital gods that originally dispersed appeared again. Not only that, the phantom of the Emperor condensed with the dragon vein luck of the purple sky divine court was also controlled by Qin Hao. Although the previous battle the 2 Heavenly Will Supremes caused Qin Hao to be seriously injured. But after the battle, just as a precaution, Qin Hao immediately exchanged the fairy fruit magic medicine to heal the injuries in his body. Of course, although the injuries recovered, Qin Hao the state is still far worse than before. And this time the opponents are no longer the 2 supremes, but 4 ancient giants. Therefore, Qin Hao took control of the phantom of the Emperor and blocked it together. Let's go separate ways. Let's hold him back. The 4 Forbidden Zone Supremes looked at each other, and then 2 creatures flew out and killed Qin Hao. Although Qin Hao's qualifications and combat power were terrifying, the most important thing for them at the moment was that they still couldn't let go. The Xiao human emperor has obtained the Tianxin seal. Once the Xiao human emperor condenses the Tianxin seal, even if he suppresses and kills Qin Hao, he will fall short. Furthermore, it seems that Qin Hao's weird method is not so easy to suppress. Killed. You are seeking death. Seeing that Qin Hao was blocked, and the other 2 ancient supreme beings went straight into the sky, a roar resounded throughout the 9 heavens and 10 earths. It was the Xiao human emperor who had been blocked by the immortal supreme, and ran away at this moment. He did not hesitate at all. Directly and fully sublimated, using the laws of the emperor, and attacked fiercely. The heavenly immortal supreme wanted to block it, but was chopped away by a sword. The two who were originally evenly matched, were fully sublimated by the Emperor Xiao, and reappeared at their peak. After the battle, the heavenly immortal supreme was directly chopped off. It can be seen that the gap between the Dianfeng Emperor and the Zizan Emperor is astonishing. In the blink of an eye, the Xiao Emperor has caught up with those two. The ancient supreme beings. Facing the attack of a sublimated emperor, the two mysterious supreme beings did not dare to be careless. At their level, even the slightest flaw could be fatal. The most important thing is that they do not want to be like Emperor Xiao. This is the ultimate sublimation of recklessness. To put it bluntly, they want to stop the Emperor Xiao's enlightenment. But if they have to pay a too high price, they will not do it. On Qin Hao's side, the ancient supreme ones also had the same idea. Although they were not in a state of weakness for 10,000 years, they were different from the heavenly will supremes. They did not kill themselves when they were at their peak. Therefore, their purpose was just to hold back Qin Hao. Instead of having a life and death fight with Qin Hao. Therefore, the shocking battle between the 6 supreme emperors was in a strange balance. Oh! But at this time, the supreme immortal sacrificed an ancient pearl, with a strange and ominous aura, flew towards the 9 heavens. God-devouring pearl. Emperor Xiao noticed it instantly, and his expression changed drastically. He immediately used his secret technique to form a body, and went to stop it. The God-eating pearl was a famous ancient evil thing in ancient times. It was rumored that in the past, even the gods from outside the territory, they all died after these evil things devoured their souls. I thought that these evil things had been completely lost. Unexpectedly, there were still remnants in Tianxian Lake. Stay. But the 2 ancient supreme beings took the opportunity to attack with all their strength. Although they had not reached the ultimate level of sublimation, their killing was obviously more serious than before. Die. Emperor Xiao not only sublimated to the extreme, but also directly burned his own Dao foundation and soul. This approach was obviously a complete sacrifice of his own life. But because of this, the originally balanced battle situation immediately became tilted. What was originally a balanced battle situation suddenly became tilted. The 2 ancient supreme beings that were entangled with him were blown away as soon as they met. After that, Emperor Xiao took a step across the sky to shatter the seal of the God-eating pearl. Ban. But the celestial supreme, at this moment, used a supreme forbidden technique. A stream of crystal clear fairy light intertwined vertically and horizontally in the void, turning into a supreme fairy net. It carried a monstrous killing power. The angry Emperor Xiao was entangled by the immortal king's ban. Judging from the immortal net, the faintly flickering ancient immortal patterns, and the mysterious immortal aura, it is very possible that the secret technique used by the supreme immortal is a true immortal method. The Xiao human emperor roared, his whole body was burning, and there were roaring purple flames. The fairy net containing the mysterious aura was actually torn into pieces by the Xiao human emperor. But at this time, the soul-devouring bead had already escaped into the endless killing catastrophe. Kick, kick, kick. The next moment, a sound of rapid steps regressing appeared. However, in the endless killing catastrophe, a trace of Xiao human emperor, whose arms were covered in blood, retreated continuously. Every time he took a step, the void was deeply broken, with countless cracks filling the air. At this moment, the entire void was like a light mirror that was about to be shattered. Fantasy, after thousands of years of seclusion, I became a saint. Author, love to eat chicken legs. Chapter 135. Kill. But even so, the Xiao human emperor still did not give up. The Dao fruit he condensed was glowing, the soul sitting cross-legged was roaring, and the endless dragon veins and luck of the Xiao divine courtyard were all gathered in his body. You can see that there among the 10,000 Daos in the Zhoutian above the 9 heavens, A huge Zixiao seal has gradually condensed and formed. Looking at it, it seems that there is only one last step left to completely suppress the 10,000 Daos and condense the Tianxin seal. Human Emperor. The powerful men of Zixiao Divine Court are anxious. Although there is only one step left, Zixiao Human Emperor's state has reached the limit no matter how you look at it. If it continues, not only will it be impossible to condense the Tianxin seal, but even the great emperor's Dao fruit will be lost. Collapsed and fell into the imperial realm. Phew! At this moment, a purple fire broke through the void and flew into the sky. It was the Zixiao emperor who had completely sublimated and burned the Daiji and Yuan Shen. Not good. He wants to help Zixiao Renhuang attain enlightenment. Almost instantly, the eyes of the three ancient supreme beings, including the supreme celestial immortal, shrank sharply and they saw Emperor Zixiao's intention. Immediately, they ignored everything else and tried their best to drag Emperor Zixiao back. At this time, they must work hard. If they still let Emperor Zixiao succeed after paying such a heavy price, it would be a big loss. Burst. The Emperor Zixiao's eyes showed determination, and his Tao fruit escaped from his body and flew towards the Zixiao human emperor. As for his burning emperor's body, it fell from the sky and then suddenly exploded. A supremely sublimated woohoo. The great emperor self-destruct, and even the three immortals and supreme beings entered sublimation. But it was still difficult to withstand the impact of the terrifying laws of destruction. As a last resort, they immediately ducked to avoid it. Even the three Qin Hao in the distance, they all stopped each other and moved away quickly. The impact of the law was too terrifying. If they were impacted, they would be severely injured. Ancestor. Seeing Emperor Zixiao, he exploded his body and flew towards him with Dao fruit. Zixiao human emperor suddenly changed his color. He naturally understood that Emperor Zixiao was going to use Dao fruit to help him survive this disaster. But it is not what Zixiao emperor wants. He has been able to go all the way to this day, but he has always been guided and helped by Emperor Zixiao. For him, Emperor Zixiao is not only the ancestor of their clan, but also a teacher and teacher. Father's existence. I am certain to die, this is the last thing I can do to help you. You must succeed. The great Emperor Zixiao said, integrating his Tao fruit into the body of the Zixiao human emperor. A mysterious and unpredictable power of Taoism filled the limbs and bones of the Zixiao human emperor. In the blink of an eye, the Zixiao human emperor's the aura returned to the peak of Emperor Zheng's success. His injuries were also healing rapidly. The strange aura surrounding the broken arm was wiped out, and as the flesh and bones surged, the broken arm was reborn. Leng Leng glanced at it, the Celestial Supreme and other ancient supremes. The Zixiao emperor once again rushed into the killing calamity. The earth-shattering bombing sound resounded. The entire universe star field was shaking at this moment, hundreds of millions of ancient stars were whispering, and mysterious laws were rising. This for a moment, all the Taoism and countless creatures had a strong premonition in their hearts. An invincible giant capable of suppressing the entire era was about to be born. Damn it! The faces of the Supreme Celestial Immortal and others were serious, and their faces were extremely ugly. Seeing that the Emperor Zixiao was about to give up all their previous efforts, and even died. As a result, Emperor Zixiao sacrificed his life, and their plans were completely in vain. With Zixiao with Xiaoren Huang's current combat power, it is probably a certainty that he will take the final step and condense the Tianxin seal. Great Emperor, died. When Emperor Zixiao sacrificed his Dao fruit, the monks in Xiao's hunting were all stunned. Now, they can no longer sense the aura of Emperor Zixiao. This also means that the once famous Xian Huang Emperor in the Five Realms, the generation of supreme emperors who were feared by even the forbidden zone of life, has completely dispersed. An era has passed and a new era has come. The giants of the Five Realms of Xian Huang couldn't help but sigh. Although Emperor Zixiao died, he passed on the fire. There is no doubt that as long as the Emperor Xixiao succeeds, he will be even more powerful than Emperor Xixiao. To be powerful. Boom. At this moment, the originally chaotic and violent Supreme War disappeared at this moment. All the creatures raised their heads and looked intently at the sky where the deafening bombardment came from time to time. Even the Supreme Celestials and other ancient Supremes, they all dispersed their sublimation aura and watched intently. At this time, even if they tried their best to sublimate the attack, it was of no avail. The Wuqi Emperor who had regained his peak combat power was no longer something they could stop. As time goes by, the sound of bombing in the endless carnage becomes more and more terrifying. Above the 9 heavens, the mark of the purple sky imprinted on all the heavens becomes clearer and brighter. Buzz. Again, after a shocking bombing sound, all the world surged violently at this moment. Along with it, there was a mysterious tremor, which contained the voice of the great emperor. The imperial calamity that originally overwhelmed the Xixiao emperor and evolved into endless killings, and then slowly dissipated. I saw that the Xixiao mark above the 9 heavens was trembling slightly at this moment. Threads of 10,000 laws surrounded the Xixiao mark, condensing and never dissipating. At this moment, no matter what, whether it is the monks of Xianhuang ancient star or the creatures in the universe, they all clearly feel at this moment a terrifying and extremely suppressed feeling of the Great Avenue. That feeling is like the invisible and intangible Great Avenue in ordinary times. The power is as solid as substance. And the stronger the cultivation level, the more terrifying the feeling of oppression from the Great Avenue. Xixiao Human Emperor, succeeded. Feeling the indescribable sense of oppression of the Dao, all the creatures in the 5 realms of Xianhuang were horrified. Nowadays, when the laws of heaven and earth have changed drastically, it is difficult to even succeed in proving the Dao. The Xixiao Human Emperor not only broke through the shackles and became the emperor, he even became the emperor. Defying the heavens and fighting against 10,000 ways, embodying the mark of the heart of heaven. What kind of stunning appearance and heaven-defying luck would it take to succeed? Immediately after the initial shock, the 5-domain human race was in a carnival at boils. Emperor. He is still the supreme emperor who condenses the mark of Tianxin. After today, no one can shake the position of the Xianhuang overlord of other races. Even if all the ancient races and the ancient supreme beings in the Forbidden Life area come together, there was nothing they could do about it. Compared to the carnival of the human race, the ancient races and the creatures in the restricted area of life had extremely heavy expressions, and the atmosphere was depressing to the limit. After paying such a huge price, they failed in the end. If they had known this, perhaps at the beginning, we should have given up our past grudges and cooperated with the Heavenly Will Supreme and the two to take action. But now, it was too late. Boom. Just when all the creatures thought that everything was over, an aura of peerless terror appeared. I saw in the depths of the universe. A giant hand of law that covered the sky and the sun, seemed to be holding up all the heavens and all realms, and fiercely bombarded the purple mark above the 9 heavens. Poof. Caught off guard, Xixiao Human Emperor's body trembled violently, and a large mouthful of Emperor's blood spurted out. How come? The Xixia Human Emperor suddenly raised his head and looked at the giant hand of law, with horror in his eyes. Even though the seal of the ancient starry sky road has disappeared for some reason. But the Xianhuang ancient star is protected by the mysterious laws of heaven and earth, and the outside world cannot detect Xianhuang of the ancient star. Unless there are living beings among all the races in the universe star field who hold the coordinates of the ancient star Xianhuang? But that should be impossible. It is said that in ancient times, the Emperor of Heaven was the ancient star Xianhuang. All the coordinates on the starry sky ancient road were destroyed. It is precisely because of this that during these long years, the ancient races in the universe star territory have been unable to break through the seal of the starry sky ancient road. Because without the coordinates, they could not even connect to the starry sky ancient road. Can't be found at all. Die. Of course, horror is horror. Xixiao human emperor's reaction was not slow at all. He roared, controlled the power of 10,000 ways, and wanted to smash the huge palm into pieces. Although he had just condensed the Tianxin seal, his cultivation because, there is still the transformation of bones. Click. But the giant hand of the law did not pay attention to Emperor Xixiao, but held the Xixiao mark with force. As the supreme and sacred aura of immortality filled the air, that Dao Xixiao's mark appeared slightly broken. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Fantasy, after thousands of years of seclusion, I became a saint. Author, love to eat chicken legs. Chapter 136. Boom. At this time, the Xixiao human emperor's shocking killing attack also came through the sky. Sweeping under the influence of thousands of Dao, the giant hand of law was annihilated and shattered inch by inch. In the depths of the starry sky and universe, the aura of peerless terror that rose up gradually fell silent. It seems that such a forced arrival on Xianhuang ancient star also made the owner of the giant hand of law pay a heavy price. Tianxin mark, damaged. Qin Hao raised his head and looked at the Xixiao mark above the 9 heavens. Although it is subtle, the suppressed breath of the Dao method has indeed become a little lighter. This situation is obviously the result of the Xixiao human emperor. The Tianxin mark was damaged and was no longer perfect. The Xixiao emperor looked into the depths of the universe, and his eyes were filled with cold murderous intent. At the moment when the Tianxin mark was condensed, he took action when he was most vulnerable, and still it seems that he also masters the method of the true immortal. The background of the creature with the giant hand of the law is absolutely amazing, and it may even be the descendant of the rumored true immortal. Otherwise, it is impossible to directly descend to the Xianhuang ancient star, and still be able to bear the mark of Tianxin. Damage. Has the suppression of the law of 10,000 Daos become slightly weaker? This is indeed the case. It seems that the Tianxin seal of Xixiao human emperor is not perfect. In this case, there is no need to worry too much. Those supreme beings in the restricted area of life also noticed that the mark of Tianxin was damaged. When communicating with each other, my heart suddenly relaxed a lot. But before their message transmission ended, the Xixiao human emperor suddenly looked at them with cold eyes. The next moment, Xixiao human emperor took a step across the sky and came directly. What followed was an overwhelming and terrifying power of heaven, as if the sky was pressing down at this moment. Not good. The heavenly immortal supreme and other supreme beings in the forbidden life area suddenly changed their colors and immediately escaped into the void. But unfortunately, their current opponent is the unparalleled giant who has condensed the mark of Tianxin. As the laws of the Emperor's way shook, the heavenly immortal the supreme and other ancient supreme beings all shook out of the void. After that, the Xixiao human emperor waved his sleeves, and a barrier of imperial law appeared. The celestial supreme, the 3 UN supreme, and the 4 mysterious ancient supremes were all captured. Live in confinement. Today, none of you can leave alive. Human Emperor Xixiao spoke indifferently, and his voice was like the sound of thousands of formations. The sacrifice of Emperor Xixiao's life made the human Emperor Xixiao riot with murderous intent. Naturally, he would not let go of the culprits like the Celestial Supreme. Human Emperor Xixiao, do you want to wait with me in the restricted area until death? We, the Lords of the Forbidden Zone, will wake up in this life. You have to think clearly about the consequences. The heavenly immortal supreme and other ancient supreme beings were all covered with ice, and they immediately sublimated to the maximum level to fight against the power of such emperors. Now, they can only hope that the Xixiao human emperor can be afraid of their forbidden area lord. After I kill you, I will clear your so-called forbidden area. The Xixiao human emperor's voice was like ice, becoming more and more indifferent, and the laws of the emperor exploded, creating endless killings. Boom! The 6 ancient supreme beings, including the celestial supreme, roared and took action, launching a life and death killing. But unfortunately, both sides the gap is not just a little bit. Not long after, those ancient supreme beings were brutally suppressed, their souls were scattered, and their bodies and souls disappeared. Is this the power of the great emperor? Seeing that in a short period of time, the 6 ancient supreme beings were easily wiped out after being fully sublimated. The creatures in the entire Xianhuang 5 realms were extremely shocked. Although in various rumors and ancient books, we can see that the Supreme Emperor records of combat prowess. But when they actually saw a perfect emperor showing off his power, they realized how terrifying and shocking the existence of the emperor realm was. It's really strong. Qin Hao, who had summoned the body of the heavenly demon emperor, also moved his eyes slightly. Zixiao human emperor, who had just arrived, should not have done it yet, and took action with all his strength. In front of the real Wuqi emperor, what kind of self-destruction and supreme sublimation, simply too weak. Of course, the Zixiao human emperor cannot be treated as the ordinary and perfect emperor. After all, he is the invincible emperor who goes against the will of heaven and embodies the mark of Tianxin. Is Wandao suppressing it? After the 6 ancient supreme beings died one after another, terrifying creatures awakened in the forbidden life areas such as Tianxian Lake, Samsara Sea, Ancient God Cliff, and Blood Phoenix River. Although the details of those forbidden life areas are unfathomable, the truly terrifying thing is the Lord of the Forbidden Area. It can be said that every Lord of the Forbidden Area is no weaker than Emperor Wuqi, or even stronger. Otherwise, the glory of all races in ancient times would be, and the prosperity of the human race in ancient times. Those life forbidden zones have been completely wiped out long ago. If you want to turn the earth into a forbidden zone, it is a joke if you don't have enough strength. But after sensing, after Emperor Xiao succeeded in condensing the Tianxin seal, the masters of the forbidden areas of life became silent one after another, and even the entire forbidden area disappeared. Meet the Emperor. After that, after seeing the Zixiao human emperor and dispelling the barrier and appearing, countless creatures, led by Zhongzhou, on the boundaries of the Xianhuang 5 domains, all knelt down and worshipped, excited and pious. Even the Zhang family emperor, Daxia people, the emperor and the elder emperors all knelt down and worshipped at this moment. The Zixiao human emperor succeeded in attaining enlightenment, and the 5 realms of the human race would be safe and sound for at least tens of thousands of years. Immediately, there was luck visible to the naked eye, heading towards the shattering the purple sky divine courtyard gathered together. A Wuqi emperor who embodies the imprint of Tianxin will naturally become the destiny center of the entire Xianhuang realm. Holy Son, the great kindness you have given me today will be repaid in the future. Human Emperor Zixiao appeared in front of Qin Hao, solemnly clasped his fists and thanked him. To be honest, today's battle. If Qin Hao hadn't turned the tide and killed 5 ancient supreme beings, and then held back 2 supreme beings. Even if it was Emperor Zixiao, even if he tries his best to sublimate himself and ignite his Dao foundation, it is impossible for him to successfully overcome the calamity. Today, the human emperor will risk his life to gather the seal of heaven's heart. But what happened on the starry sky ancient road? Today's Emperor Zixiao's move to prove himself as emperor seems a bit reckless in Qin Hao's opinion. Even with Emperor Zixiao protecting him, there is still too much luck involved in Emperor Zixiao's success in proving himself. The seal of the starry sky ancient road has been dispelled. Hearing Qin Hao's doubts, Zixiao human emperor did not hide anything and nodded directly. So, all the ancient races can come to the Xianhuang realm. Qin Hao's expression moved slightly, but he was not very surprised. He had guessed this since the time when Zixiao Renhuang succeeded in proving the emperor and condensed the Tianxin seal. Judging from the giant hand of the law before, there is only one person among the ancient tribes who holds the coordinates. Human Emperor Xiao spoke. The so-called coordinates refer to the original mark of each ancient star. In the universe, there are countless star fields, and each star field has endless ancient stars. And whether it is an ancient star or a star field, it is not fixed. Therefore, even a creature that has achieved the Emperor realm cannot travel through the ancient stars in the entire universe. The Xianhuang ancient star, perhaps because of the existence of the road to immortality, is even weirder. There are no coordinates. If you do, you won't be able to find the Xianhuang ancient star at all. Because from outside the Xianhuang ancient star, you can't sense the existence of the Xianhuang ancient star at all. Just like this, in the early days of the ancient times, after the creatures of all races accidentally broke into the Xianhuang ancient star, it is the ancient road in the starry sky that was constructed. That ancient road, together with the billions of ancient stars in the universe, allows countless creatures to travel to and from the ancient stars of Xianhuang. And if among the various races in the universe today, there are really creatures who hold the coordinates, then they only need to be in the starry sky at the end of the ancient road. The eternal coordinates are rebranded. The endless ancient stars in the universe star field can be directly teleported to come. This is also the reason why the Xiao human emperor is willing to risk his life to condense the mark of Tianxin. The universe star. If the supreme being of all races in the domain really comes, then the great emperor realm at the Hedao level cannot suppress the supreme giant of the universe. Only by condensing the mark of Tianxin and crossing the sky with the power of 10,000 ways can the world be suppressed. All-powerful enemies. Unfortunately, his Tianxin seal was attacked at the last moment and was not perfect. Otherwise, even if the supreme being of all races in the star territory were to come now, he would have nothing to fear. Fantasy. After thousands of years of seclusion, I became a saint. Author, love to eat chicken legs. Chapter 137. After learning that the seal on the ancient starry sky road had disappeared and that all races in the universe might have the coordinates, Qin Hao did not stay any longer and took Zhang Taishu and the others back to the eastern wasteland Holy Land. He also paid a heavy price for today's battle and needs to cultivate well. The Xiao human emperor began to liquidate the creatures of all races who had taken action against him before. For a time, Zhongzhou, Nanling, Western Desert, and Northern Territory were filled with qi and blood, mountains of corpses and seas of blood. Unfortunately, Tianxian Lake and other life-forbidden areas have disappeared and are hard to find. Otherwise, the Xiao human emperor would really kill them and clear out those rebellious life-restricted areas. After that, the Xiao human emperor returned to Zhongzhou and used great magic power to reunite the shattered Xiao divine court. After summoning the 5 domain human races and countless quasi-emperor giants who came to worship, the Xiao human emperor entered seclusion. With Xiao human emperor's current cultivation level, he is almost invincible on the Xianhuang ancient star. However, if the ancient road in the starry sky connects the universe again, countless ancient supreme beings will come. You know, in that cosmic star field, there are hidden beings that can damage even the Tianxin seal. Therefore, the Xiao human emperor is preparing to retreat, perfect the Tianxin seal, and complete his own path. At this time, after it was confirmed that the Xiao human emperor had truly succeeded in becoming emperor, the entire Xianhuang 5 realms were ecstatic. Nowadays, when the emperor is in danger and all races are stirring, it is naturally a great joy for the human race to give birth to the supreme emperor. Along with the news of Emperor Zheng, there was also the inside story of the siege of more than a dozen ancient supreme beings. Tianxian Lake, Ancient God Cliff, Samsara Sea, Blood Phoenix River and other life-forbidden areas, actually joined forces to move. Such a terrifying scale has never appeared since ancient times. But I didn't expect that this time, in order to prevent the Xiao human emperor from attaining enlightenment, those forbidden areas of life would actually join forces. Of course, in such a glorious event. The light of Dei Saint Sun Qin Hao is even as strong as the Zixiao human emperor, and it is difficult to conceal it. First, he used the imperial body of the heavenly demon emperor to entangle the ancient supreme being on the ancient god cliff. Later, they violently killed the three statues and burned their Taoist foundations, hoping to die with them in their later years. In the end, the ancient supreme beings who fought alone against the two supreme beings, who had been completely sublimated and restored to their peak, won a complete victory. It can be said that if Qin Hao had not come to help, it would have been difficult for Zixiao human emperor to succeed in becoming emperor. Therefore, there are a lot of discussions and various rumors about Qin Hao's cultivation in the five realms. Some people say that Qin Hao inherited the mantle of the great emperor, so he was able to reach the ultimate quasi-emperor level and kill the supreme being. Some people also say that Qin Hao has achieved enlightenment in a different way and is a terrifying giant who can rival the supreme emperor. No matter what kind of rumor it is, in the understanding of the Xianhuang five realms, Qin Hao definitely possesses the combat power of the great emperor. Being able to kill five sublimated ancient supreme beings in one battle, isn't this enough to prove Qin Hao's great emperor's fighting power? The originally turbulent human race now has two emperor-level supreme beings to rule the world. This naturally makes the whole race revel in the excitement. In this way, the human race will be prosperous in the next tens of thousands of years. Zhongzhou Zixiao Divine Courtyard, the first holy place in the eastern wasteland, has also become a holy place for human beings to worship. During the carnival in the Xianhuang Five Realms, Dei Holy Land seemed quite low-key and quiet. After Qin Hao returned from Zhongzhou, he entered the seven-star space-time tower for retreat. While he continued to refine it, he increased the combat power of the heavenly demon emperor's body. On the one hand, he used the luck of Hongmeng Law to condense the immortal bones of Hongmeng. Zhang Taishu, great sage Luo, and Yao Baxian also entered into penance. Today's emperor-proving battle made them all feel something. In addition to their feelings, they also had an inexplicable sense of urgency in their hearts. If in the future, when Qin Hao attains enlightenment, those restricted areas join forces to kill him, what will they do? You know, in the Purple Sky Divine Court, there is also a self-destruct emperor who came to help. But their Dei Holy Land does not have such amazing background. Because of this sense of urgency made their desire to become stronger even stronger. As for the Zixiao human emperor's condensed Tianxin seal, it will suppress the theory that future generations will not be able to become emperors. Zhang Taishu and the other three were not worried at all. Other quasi-emperor realms in the five domains may be suppressed and unable to achieve enlightenment. But Qin Hao cannot be suppressed by the so-called Tianxin mark. In this atmosphere where the human race is boiling and all races are silent, 1 year flies by in a flash. During this period, the Zixiao human emperor emerged from seclusion and went to the starry sky ancient road. He wanted to use the power of heaven and earth to put a new seal and seal the ancient road in the starry sky. But it's a pity that even if it condenses the Tianxin mark, the Zixiao human emperor is still unable to suppress the power of all races contained in the starry sky ancient road. In ancient times, the reason why the great emperor of the human race was able to seal the ancient road in the starry sky, it was because the invincible heavenly emperor directly suppressed the power of all races with his supreme supernatural power. After being unable to seal the starry sky ancient road, Zixiao human emperor returned to Zhongzhou and concentrated on practicing in seclusion. Since he can't stop the coming of all races, he can only continue to improve his realm. The emperor who has condensed the mark of Tianxin can cultivate to the peak of the emperor. The great emperor is at his peak, even if he meets the heavenly emperor, he can fight with him. Looking at the long history of the human race, only the great emperor who condensed the seal of Tianxin in the past has ever achieved this. Although Emperor Zixiao's Tianxin seal is damaged, as long as it is perfected, he can still reach the pinnacle of the emperor. Another year later, the human race in the five domains is full of vigor and vitality, and strong men have made breakthroughs in many traditions. These powerful men of the Taoism, without exception, have all witnessed the existence of Emperor Xiao's Taoism. The insights gained when observing the great Emperor Xiao uniting the Tao, condensing the Tao fruit, conquering the 10,000 Taos, and deriving the Tianxin seal. For those giants in the quasi-emperor realm, it is nothing short of a divine destiny. In the Dei Holy Land, a quasi-emperor vision also appeared. A blue sea swept across, and a bright moon rose into the sky, scattering dazzling silver light. The vision of the divine king's body, the bright moon rising over the sea. Zhou Yang broke through and entered the realm of quasi-emperor. Moreover, after cultivating to the extreme in the great sage realm, he directly broke through 3 realms in a row and entered the 3rd level of the quasi-emperor. At this point, Dei Holy Land has gained another quasi-emperor. Counting Qin Hao, there are a total of 5 quasi-emperors. From the outside, this is naturally extremely horrifying. It has only been 30 or 40 years since Qin Hao was born and took charge of Dei Holy Land. As a result, Dei Holy Land, which had declined to the point of almost extinction, actually gave birth to quasi-emperors one after another. The fate of Dei Holy Land is probably not weaker than that of Xiao Divine Courtyard where the Supreme Emperor sits. 2 years later, a mysterious Buddhist sound resounded, and golden lotuses fell from the sky, paving a golden avenue. A slim fairy figure with black hair shawl and wearing 9-color fairy clothes came through the air. It was Qin Yi who returned from the great Laiyan temple in the western desert. In the past 2 years, although Qin Yi has not been completely refined, he is the first-generation temple master of the great Laiyan temple. However, Qin Yi's cultivation level has still undergone huge changes, and he has entered the quasi-emperor realm. Although her Taoism is all based on Buddhism, it is quite unstable. But she was born into a chaotic body, and her combat prowess was enough to rival the giants in the late quasi-emperor realm. After returning to the Holy Land, Qin Yi went to visit Qin Hao and asked Qin Hao to suppress the Dharma in her body. After all, the first-generation temple master of the great Laiyan temple lived from ancient times to the present day. Although Qin Yi used the heaven-swallowing demon technique to devour his spiritual body, he could not erase his Dao foundation. This is also an important reason why Qin Yi's realm is quite unstable. Qin Hao came out of seclusion and taught Qin Yi all the techniques of great cause and effect, great soul, great salvation, and great liberation. This immediately made Qin Yi, as if he had obtained a treasure, enter the ancient pagoda of time and space to retreat, vowing to destroy the foundation of Buddhism. It is conceivable that when she crushes the foundation of Buddhism, her cultivation will definitely reach an astonishing level. Fantasy: after thousands of years of seclusion, I became a saint. Author: love to eat chicken legs. Chapter 138. Time flies by. A full 10 years have passed since the battle of the Supreme Emperor in Zhongzhou. In the past 10 years, the 5 human regions have become more and more prosperous, and the number of giants in the quasi-emperor realm has obviously increased. This is the reason why the human race gave birth to a supreme emperor and was blessed by the fate of heaven and earth. But correspondingly, after setting foot in the quasi-emperor realm, those 5 domain giants also clearly sensed that the suppression of heaven and earth was becoming increasingly terrifying. This is obviously because the Xiao human emperor's Tianxin seal is constantly being perfected. Because of this, many of the ancient giants who came into contact with the imperial realm because of their fate as emperors could no longer hold back. If they wait for Xiao human emperor to completely perfect the Tianxin seal, then they will never be able to attain enlightenment again. Therefore, many giants who have touched the imperial realm are preparing for enlightenment. Time flies. Another 10 years have passed. In the past 10 years, the Xianhuang 5 realms have been extremely lively. In just 10 years, a total of 5 quasi-emperors achieved enlightenment. In addition to the Eastern Wasteland, Nanling, Western Desert, Northern Territory, and Zhengzhou all have giants who have touched the imperial realm to achieve enlightenment. In these 5 times of enlightenment, no one from the ancient tribes or the forbidden areas of life interfered. But in the end, no one succeeded in attaining enlightenment 5 times. The Tianxin mark of the Zixiao human emperor is so terrifying that it is directly imprinted on the universe. It is simply impossible to break open the Tianxin seal of Zixiao human emperor and prove his enlightenment. Because of this, rumors spread that future generations would not be able to prove themselves emperor. Some people are sad, and some people are happy. In Dei Holy Land, Qin Fengxiu understood the secret of Taiyan and became a quasi-emperor in one fell swoop. Even her Taiyan body has its own Taiyan law, which can resist the suppression of the laws of heaven and earth. This will be of great benefit in the future when Qin Fengxiu attains enlightenment. Zhou Yang and Yao Baxian gained enlightenment from this, and while practicing, they deduced the secrets of physique. One of them has a divine king body, and the other has a heavenly demon body. It is possible for both of them to reach the realm of Qin Fengxiu. In addition to Zhou Yang, Qin Fengxiu, and Yao Baxian, the other disciples of Dei Holy Land have also become stronger one after another. The group of disciples with the most outstanding qualifications have already reached the level of the great sage. Among them, Zhang Juxing, who was born in the imperial palace and was born with supreme bones, has even faintly touched the quasi-emperor realm. The monks in the entire Daoyi Holy Land are getting stronger crazily at an astonishing speed. Naturally, the foundation of Daoyi Holy Land is also increasing every moment. In the past 20 years, except for teaching Qin Yi the art of Taoism, Qin Hao has never left seclusion. No one knows what level Qin Hao's cultivation has reached. There are even rumors from the outside world that Qin Hao may have suffered an original Dao injury during the emperor-proving battle. Therefore, Qin Hakai has never left seclusion. But the higher UPS of Dei Holy Land knew that Qin Hao had been suppressing his own realm over the years. In the outside world, more than 20 years have passed in the 7-star space-time tower, but more than 1,400 years have passed. As early as hundreds of years ago, Qin Hao had cultivated the quasi-emperor realm to perfection and had already touched the imperial realm. It can be said that the current Qin Hao may cause the emperor's calamity at any time and break it and become the emperor. However, Qin Hao seemed to have no idea of becoming emperor at this time. He continues to comprehend and practice, and he continues to suppress his own Taoism. No one knows what Qin Hao's purpose is. But the entire Daoyi Holy Land knew that Qin Hao was becoming more and more terrifying. Even just sensing that kind of aura makes people feel as if they are facing a great emperor. After the 3rd decade has passed, the 5 realms of Xianhuang, which had been gradually calming down, were shaken up by a shocking news. On the ancient road in the starry sky, a supreme being of the universe walked out. This news immediately shocked the creatures in the 5 realms, and all the ancient tribes who had escaped from the world were born accordingly. The Supreme Being of the universe did not kill himself as the Supreme Being. He is at the peak of his powers and possesses a terrifying Taoism. He is far from being comparable to beings like the Supreme Heavenly Will decades ago. What's even more shocking is that the laws of heaven and earth in the Xianhuang 5 realms don't actually suppress the Supreme Being of the universe. This discovery once again caused boundless turmoil. If the laws of heaven and earth of Xianhuang ancient star no longer suppress the supreme beings of all races, it will not be good news for the human race of the 5 realms. With the arrival of the supreme being of the universe, the Zixiao human emperor will naturally be born. The 2 sides had fought against each other in the 9 heavens. But no one knows the outcome. However, the supreme being of the universe made it clear that he was not coming for the human race of the 5 realms. His purpose is for the road to immortality that is about to begin. When news of the road to immortality spread, countless quasi-emperor giants were horrified. It seems that the rumors are indeed true. The road to immortality will begin in this life. The laws of heaven and earth will also change drastically. No wonder the laws of law will no longer suppress the supreme beings of all races. The arrival of the supreme being of the universe, the road to becoming an immortal is about to begin, and the news of the birth of all races has caused a lot of shock in the 5 realms of Xianhuang. But with the Zixiao Emperor ruling the world, no one dared to cause any turmoil. In the past 30 years, Dei Holy Land has become increasingly powerful. Zhang Taishu and great sage Liwo, after more than 2,000 years of seclusion, have reached the pinnacle of the quasi-emperor realm. Qin Hao's successive liquidations in the past few years have given Dadao Holy Land a terrifying and world-shaking cultivation background. Zhang Taishu and the great sage Liwo did not have to worry about cultivation resources or the safety of the Holy Land. Under such a focused retreat, their cultivation naturally made astonishing breakthroughs. But after reaching the peak quasi-emperor realm, they all walked out of the 7-star space-time tower. Sometimes, knowing that time flows 70 times faster is not necessarily a good thing. Because this means that their lifespan will also elapse 70 times faster. Even those who are at the pinnacle of quasi-emperor realm cannot withstand the time spent in seclusion for thousands of years at a time. Of course, more importantly, they know that with their qualifications, it is difficult to become emperor in this world. Basically, they are inferior to Zhou Yang, Qin Fengxiu, Yao Baxian, and others. Because the two of them entered the Holy Realm early and condensed their own laws. Even if Qin Hao had many physical origins, he could not teach them to them. Because the origin of the constitution conflicts with their own laws and ways. Zhou Yang and others are different. They all had the origin of qualifications given by Qin Hao before they were in the Holy Realm. Therefore, after setting foot in the pinnacle quasi-emperor realm, they left seclusion. With their current realm, even if they are in the outside world, it won't take long before they can touch the imperial realm. They are waiting. Wait until Qin Hao becomes emperor. Because Qin Hao said that when he becomes emperor, he can let the Holy Land quasi-emperor achieve enlightenment together. As for the reason, they didn't know, and they didn't ask any more questions. But with Qin Hao's character, he would not target someone without reason. Since he said this, Qin Hao must be confident. Yao Biatian has not reached the pinnacle of quasi-emperor realm, but has only broken through to the 7th level of quasi-emperor realm. Because his focus was on understanding the profound meaning of the heavenly demon body. Zhou Yang was also practicing while deducing the secrets of the divine king's body, and his cultivation was at the mid-stage of the quasi-emperor realm. Qin Fengxiu came from behind and reached the 8th level of the quasi-emperor realm in one fell swoop. His tremendous fighting power shocked the world. Qin Yiyi has been in seclusion since she came back from the western desert, and no one knows the depth of her cultivation. Zhang Juxing broke through the limits of the great sage, reached the quasi-emperor level, and awakened the supreme bone treasure technique. Qin Hao's Dharma came and accepted Zhang Juxing as his direct disciple, ranking third among his disciples. Not only that, Qin Hao also exchanged the ancient supreme bone to fuse Zhang Juxing. Once the two bones are successfully fused, Zhang Juxing will be an unprecedented supreme bone without land. In addition to Zhang Juxing, there are 5 great Saint Realm disciples who have broken through the boundaries of quasi-emperor and transformed in one fell swoop. But Qin Hao did not accept the 5 quasi-emperors as his disciple. Because they are the sons of genius trained by Zhang Taishu, great sage Liwo, Zhou Yang, and others. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Fantasy, after thousands of years of seclusion, I became a saint. Author, love to eat chicken legs. Chapter 139. Time flies. 50 years have passed in the 5 realms of Xianhuang. Ever since the Supreme Being of the universe stepped out of the ancient road in the starry sky 30 years ago. Over the years, powerful Supreme Beings have appeared on the starry sky ancient road from time to time. Some of those universe supremes will visit the Zixiao human emperor. After all, Looking at the entire universe, the emperor who embodies the seal of Tianxin has not appeared for countless years. But some of the supreme beings of the universe went directly to the ancient 10,000 clans without having any interactions with the Zixiao human emperor. The Zixiao human emperor didn't really care about this. As long as he doesn't disturb the human race in the 5 domains, he doesn't bother to care about the supreme beings of the universe. On the contrary, the originally silent Teku tribes have become much more active for this reason. The Black Tomb Mountain in the western desert was born directly, occupying many territorial resources in the western desert. After the Xiankong ancient temple and other 10 ancient Buddhist and Taoist temples were destroyed by Qin Hao, the western desert has been quite chaotic. The emergence of Hefengxian suppressed a lot of unrest. Compared to the Xianhuang 5 realms, which have surging undercurrents but are relatively calm on the surface. Over at the Imperial Pass battlefield, wars broke out all year round, and the powerful human race suffered serious casualties. As a last resort, Zhang Qiantian, the commander-in-chief of Daiguan, also sent a request to the human race of the 5 domains. When the situation was most dangerous, human Emperor Zixiao always left in person and went to the Imperial Pass. At this point, the situation that had been peaceful for decades for the human race in the 5 domains was gradually broken. There are foreign races outside, watching with eager eyes, constantly attacking, vowing to break through the Imperial Pass, and there are even faint figures of the invincible. There are all kinds of races in the universe, coming continuously with bad intentions, making the 5 realms more unstable. If Emperor Zixiao, who had attained the seal of Heaven's heart, was in charge, the 5 realms of Xianhuang would have been in chaos long ago. This day. The end of the eastern wasteland. The boundless sea, the secret realm of all races. As the void trembled, creatures with terrifying auras stepped out of the void. From the breath of laws, it can be seen that those creatures are from ancient races. The weakest of these ancient tribes have all set foot in the quasi-emperor realm. At a glance, there are dozens of them. The leader of all races is a middle-aged man. Wearing a gorgeous robe, he exudes a noble and extraordinary temperament, like an emperor who reigns over the 9 heavens. Boom! After arriving, the middle-aged man took action indifferently and punched out. As the void surged violently, countless laws of destruction roared and swept away at this moment. Immediately, the secret realm of all races, hidden in the void and hard to find, was directly blasted out. The Emperor is here in person, why don't you show up? The indifferent voice of the middle-aged man spread, and the world shook violently. This man is actually an ancient emperor of all races who has attained enlightenment. You must know that among all races, those who kill themselves with a knife will be called as the supreme. Only those who have perfected the Dao can be called ancient emperors, just like the perfect emperor of the human race. Due to the suppression of laws, all the ancient races in the 5 realms of Xianhuang can only seal the source of immortality, or even if they have the appearance of enlightenment. Alternative enlightenment. However, the ancient stars and races in the universe are not suppressed by the laws of heaven and earth. Therefore, among the ancient stars in the universe, there are many perfect ancient emperors and emperors hidden in the universe. Now the road to immortality will become on. These supreme giants who have been in seclusion on weekdays are also born one after another. The ancient emperor swallowing heaven. In that secret world, an ancient aura that touched the emperor's realm appeared. A gray-haired old man appeared. This gray-haired old man was the one who appeared in the past when Qin Hao came to the boundless sea to refine the body of the emperor. Giants of all races. Behind the gray-haired old man, creatures with powerful auras appeared one after another. However, in front of the ancient emperor of perfection, the gray-haired old man and other creatures all had an extremely heavy atmosphere. Let alone the quasi-emperor. They are in a state where there are a few quasi-emperors who have killed themselves. I am afraid that there is nothing they can do about it. The ancient emperor who swallows the sky in front of them. Hand over the war immortal totem and I will spare your immortality. The ancient emperor of all races, with his hands behind his back, his eyes indifferent, looked at the powerful men of all races in the boundless sea. The ancient emperor swallowing heaven, my clan's war immortal totem, has long been taken away by other royal clans. The gray-haired old man said in a deep voice. The war immortal totem is an immortal totem that has been inherited from the early days of the ancient times. That totem was left by an invincible ancient emperor among the ancient tribes who defied nature and transformed into a war immortal. But in the fight for future generations, the war immortal totem was chopped into 9 parts. And it is rumored that when the 9 parts of the war immortal totem are gathered together, the world of the war immortal can be manifested, and the war immortal inheritance can be obtained. You know, since the death of immortal ancient. The ancient emperor of war immortal is the only invincible giant who has truly set foot in the immortal realm in a long time. In the world of war immortal, it is very likely that there is a supreme immortal destiny hidden in the world of war immortal. Therefore, in order to compete for the war immortal totem, the royal family and the royal family of the ancient tribes have often caused wars. But from ancient times to the present, no clan has been able to gather all the war immortal totems. Since then, because of the strong men of all tribes, they have discovered the Chengdu immortal totem. Immortal Road, at that time, some of the 9 royal families who had the war immortal totem migrated to Xianhuang ancient star. This gray-haired old man's family was one of the 9 royal families who migrated. But when it was passed down to ancient times, this gray-haired old man's family, the top supreme beings, all died in that world-destroying supreme emperor war. In addition, the world has changed drastically, and the laws are no longer suitable for the cultivation of all races. Originally, the ancient royal family just withered and disappeared. It is precisely because of this that their clan has always lived in seclusion in the eastern wilderness and the boundless sea, never intervening in the affairs of all races. But unexpectedly, they still failed to escape this murderous disaster. The war immortal totem that was taken away from your clan in the past was a fake. My patience is limited, either hand over the war immortal totem, or I will send you on your way. The ancient Emperor Tunshan spoke indifferently, and his voice contained the terrifying laws of the Emperor's way. At this moment, above the 9 heavens, there were laws of heaven and earth looming, as if they were about to send down heaven's punishment. Ancient Emperor Tunshan raised his eyebrows slightly, and the laws of the Emperor's way were on his body. The breath is slightly restrained. Although in the past few decades, the suppression of the laws of heaven and earth on Tianqian ancient star has become weaker and weaker. But for the creatures of the ancient emperors who have become emperors and have perfected the laws, they will still manifest the power of heaven. My clan's war immortal totem has really been robbed. If it's fake, then it's the royal family that took away my clan's war immortal totem and secretly swapped it. Our clan's inheritance has completely declined so far. How dare you deceive the ancient emperor? Sensing the cold murderous intention of the ancient emperor Tunshan, the gray-haired old man's expression changed greatly, and he hurriedly said, "Don't you cry when you don't see the coffin. Then I'll send you on your way." Immediately, with the ancient emperor Tunshan as the center, the entire eastern wasteland was suppressed by the extremely terrifying imperial law at this moment. Countless creatures were trembling at this moment, and their souls were trembling. In Dei Holy Land, Zhangtaishu, the giants such as the great sage Luo changed their colors slightly. Such a vast and boundless law of the imperial Dao, this is definitely the aura of a person who has attained the Dao. Among the supreme beings from all realms of the universe, there are actually creatures of the imperial Dao who have perfected the Dao. Thinking of this, there was a strong man who escaped from the sky and went to the boundless sea to inquire about the news. Somewhere in Dei Holy Land, a young man wearing the clothes of a true disciple, his expression changed slightly. Sure enough, he still found their clan? At this time, boundless sea. Ancient Emperor Tunshan, ancient Emperor Hualin once said that he would protect us forever. If you attack our clan now, aren't you afraid of triggering a war between the ancient emperors? At this moment, the gray-haired old man and other creatures completely changed their colors. Ancient Emperor Hualin failed to achieve nirvana and has now killed himself. He has fallen from the throne of the ancient emperor and cannot even protect himself. Do you think ancient Emperor Hualin can protect you again? As the ancient Emperor Tunchen spoke indifferently, the laws of the Emperor's way were already roaring over. Such a terrifying and earth-shattering momentum was as if the entire sky was suppressing at this moment, and destructive phenomena such as the sun, moon, and stars were manifested. Fantasy, after thousands of years of seclusion, I became a saint. Author, love to eat chicken legs. Chapter 140. No. The gray-haired old man and other creatures roared in terror, but it didn't help at all. As the imperial law was suppressed, the gray-haired old man and other human beings were all killed. Their souls were all captured. Is there really no war immortal totem? Huh? The soul seal. This is. After extracting his soul and refining his soul, the ancient Emperor Tunchen's eyes moved slightly. From the souls of the gray-haired old man and others, he indeed found no clues about the war immortal totem. But he knew that the gray-haired old man sent a clan member out of the secret realm in advance. Dei Holy Land, where is it? After crushing those souls, ancient Emperor Tunchen asked indifferently. Tao Yi Holy Land. But I didn't expect that the faces of those quasi-emperor giants from all races changed drastically when they heard this name. There was even unconcealable horror in their expressions. In today's Xianhuang 5 domains, there are two existences that are recognized. Don't mess with them. One is the Zixiao human emperor who has gathered the seal of heaven's heart and set foot in the imperial realm. The other is the holy son of Daoyi who sits in the eastern wasteland and has killed 5 ancient supreme beings. Although the holy son of Daoyi has not set foot in the imperial realm, his combat power should not be as good as that of the Zixiao human emperor. But his combat power is real and has reached the level of the great emperor. Why, is this holy land related to the Zixiao emperor? With him sitting in charge, these creatures of all races are still so scared. In the eyes of the ancient Emperor Tunchen, only the Zixiao human emperor is the only one. To be honest, a great emperor who embodies the mark of the stars. Even if he is a perfect person, there is no absolute certainty that we can deal with the ancient emperor's heaven-swallowing ancient emperor. Daoyi Holy Son of Daoyi Holy Land does have some relationship with Zixiao human emperor. Immediately, those quasi-emperor creatures told all the information about Qin Hao. At the extreme quasi-emperor level, can he kill 2 supremely elevated peaks? After the ancient emperor Tunchen heard this, he couldn't help showing a little surprise. Even if the supreme emperor killed himself, after being fully sublimated, he could still be on par with the great emperor and the ancient emperor in a short period of time. The 2 supreme emperors were in their prime. Even though he joined forces with Sheng Sheng, he was killed by a powerful force. This made him interested in the one saint son of Dao. Either that son of Dao and one saint had become a different kind of enlightenment. Or, he had a big secret hidden in him. Walk. Immediately, the ancient Emperor Tunchen asked people to lead the way and prepared to go to Dei Holy Land. As for the friendship between Saint Sun Dei and Zixiao human emperor, he did not care. Although the passage of the Starry Sky ancient road has not been completely disclosed yet. In the cosmic star field, there are many ancient supreme beings and even perfect emperors who have arrived. If the Zixiao human emperor really takes action, the worst he can do is make the battle immortal totem public. As far as he knows, the Zixiao human emperor's the Tianxin seal is not perfect. Several of their emperors join forces, and even if they cannot suppress the Zixiao human emperor, they can still resist the Zixiao human emperor. Those quasi-emperor creatures looked at each other and could only lead the way. To be honest, until now, they have not been able to figure out the details of the Daoyi Saint's son. But judging from the past situation, as long as Qin Hao retreats. His combat power will soar hugely when he comes out. 50 years ago, Qin Hao was able to kill several ancient supreme beings who had reached the highest level of advancement by himself. Now, how strong should Qin Hao be? Even the ancient emperor swallowing heaven may not be able to suppress Qin Hao. And Qin Hao is famous for his vengeance. When giants such as the ancient Emperor Tunchen embark on the road to immortality, they will definitely be liquidated by Qin Hao. Crossing the virtual space, ancient Emperor Tunchen and others soon arrived at Dei Holy Land. Almost at the moment when the ancient Emperor Tian and others appeared in the sky, the star array in the sky began to tremble slightly. In Dei Holy Land, the powerful aura of a quasi-emperor rose into the sky. Zhang Taishu, Great Sage Liwo, Zhou Yang, Qin Fengxiu, Yao Baxian, and the 5 newly promoted quasi-emperors. At this moment, they all flew into the air and looked at the fierce and powerful ancient emperor swallowing heaven and other creatures from all races. A perfect ancient emperor. At this moment, Zhang Taishu and others' eyes dimmed. They had seen it with their own eyes, whether they killed themselves as supreme emperors or as emperors. The ancient emperor who swallowed the sky in front of them was definitely one of a kind, the perfect ancient emperor. Emperor. Although it is not as good as the Zixiao human emperor who condenses the mark of Tianxin. But it is far superior to those self-destruction supremes in the life-forbidden area. The luck is extraordinary. The ancient emperor Tunchen glanced at Zhang Taishu and others, with a hint of surprise in his eyes. In a holy land, there are not only 10 quasi-emperors. Looking at the auras of those 10 people, they are all people with unlimited potential. Several of them, and even has a rare physique. Once he becomes an emperor, he will probably have few opponents. The luck of this holy land is extraordinary. We are here today for the remnants of the ancient Wind clan. Among those creatures of all races, a quasi-emperor took the initiative to stand up and explain his intention. He was afraid of the ancient Emperor Tunchen, so he directly attacked Daoyi Holy Land without saying a word. If we can talk peacefully, there is no need at all. Sharing the same holy land and becoming enemies. The remnants of Wind clan. Isn't that the boundless sea, the ancient royal family in the secret realm of all races? Hearing the words of the quasi-emperor creature, Zhang Taishu and others' expressions changed slightly. These creatures of all races are not looking for trouble, but are here to find people. But when did their holy land receive the creatures of the ancient races? Already. Could it be that you are mistaken? Our Taoist holy land is the human race's Taoist tradition. The Feng clan is an ancient royal family, how can they worship in my holy land? Zhang Taishu spoke while using secret techniques to transmit messages to Qin Hao. They were definitely not able to fight against the ancient emperor with perfect Dao. Qin Hao must come out of seclusion. The ancient emperor is here in person, do you think there will be a mistake? The quasi-emperor creature said in a deep voice. Why so much nonsense? At this time, the ancient emperor swallowing heaven stepped forward. The world was boiling violently at this moment, and the laws of the emperor's Dao soared into the sky. At this moment, the creatures in the entire Xianhuang 5 realms were shocked and frightened at this moment. Countless Tao giants came together. They all looked towards the east wasteland. The law of the emperor? Could it be that it was the holy son of Dao who was going to prove the emperor today? Immediately, countless creatures with terrifying auras all escaped from the sky and descended on the east wasteland. Zhongzhou, Zixiao Divine Court. The Zixiao human emperor, who was sitting cross-legged and meditating, slowly opened his eyes. In his eyes, there were innate purple energy rising and falling, and his eyes were extremely deep, and there were faint stars in the universe evolving. The ancient emperor of all races. Although they were extremely far apart, human emperor Zixiao immediately sensed that it was not Qin Hao who was proving the laws of the imperial Dao, but the ancient emperor who had descended on the eastern wasteland. Immediately, a purple divine light flashed out. Flash, Zixiao human emperor disappeared in the blink of an eye. At this time, Donghuang, Dei Holy Land. Click. The Zhou star formation, under the suppression of the imperial law, was shattered inch by inch. A peak ancient. The power of the emperor is not something that this mere ancient formation of the great emperor can resist. Whether the remnants of the Wind clan are in your holy land or not, I will know with just one search. The ancient emperor Tunshan took one step forward and was about to rush into the Daoyi holy land. He is the perfect ancient emperor who reigns over all the stars in the sky. How would he care about a small holy land in the human race? Even if he is the holy son of Daoyi, he has achieved enlightenment in an alternative way and can fight against the ancient emperor without any fear. Compared with the true enlightenment of transcending tribulations, the alternative enlightenment is comparable in combat power, but the realm is far different. If it were to be a life and death battle, he was completely confident. The existence that can defeat alternative enlightenment. Stop. Seeing the ancient emperor swallowing the sky, he wanted to use his secret skills to attack fiercely. Zhang Taishu and others all pounced. The Ji-Dao emperor's soldiers and the ancient emperor's soldiers all revived and boiled at this moment, and came out with boundless killing. How dare you stop someone from the quasi-emperor realm? Act recklessly. The ancient emperor Tunshan snorted coldly, and suddenly struck out with a palm. A series of void palm prints, with terrifying killing skills, struck out through the air. The next moment, there was a sound of flesh and blood exploding. Zhang Taishu and the other 10 were accurate. In the emperor's realm, in one encounter, he vomited blood and flew backwards. Even if he was protected by the Ji-Dao emperor's soldiers and the ancient emperor's soldiers, they could not stop the blow of the ancient emperor swallowing heaven.